Most of us have heard about design thinking and have properly read books or articles on it. But the real question is, how do you actually use design thinking as a business analyst? That's exactly what this session is all about. I've explained all 5 stages of design thinking with practical, real world BA examples so that you can apply them in your real time projects. And if you found this helpful, let me know in the comment which BA topic you would like me to cover next. And if you are enjoying this kind of practical content, consider subscribing to this channel. Your support motivates me to create more videos for the BA community. Looking forward. Let's get started. Welcome all of you. First of all, I'm not going to waste too much of your time. We'll just talk about the real-time concept, the real-time challenges that we face, and what can be the practical significance of design thinking for business analysts. So I'm not going to focus too much on theoretical jargons and all. I'll make sure that we are focusing a lot on how practically we are able to implement this practice as a business analyst. So first of all, there are a couple of suggestions and recommendations from my end. I'm not asking all of you to start reading it tomorrow itself, but I would recommend that if you really have to get a lot of understanding on design thinking, because my today's focus is going to be giving you certain direction in terms of your thought process. I always say, you would have observed me very oftenly saying that business analysis is a mindset more than a profession. So getting inspired with the same thought process, I want all of you to understand what actually design thinking is. So what I'm going to discuss today, it is, pretty much derived from a couple of books that all of you can also try to go later point. And I will also recommend that whenever you have time and you really want to, polish up your design thinking, try to start reading these books, which is going to give you a lot of, clarity in your thought process as a business analyst. So to start with, what actually is design thinking? So if you go through this definition, it says design thinking is the approach of solving the right problem by understanding people before building solution. Now, the key point I want all of you to focus here is solving the right problem. All of you, please understand. When I talk about the concept of design thinking, it all revolves around solving the right problem. So if you look at any problem statement, by the way, we are going to solve one of a case study as well, part of today's session. So when I'm going to show you, tell you the background of that given organization, and pretty much we're going to solve the given problem statement, you will observe this is very essential for you as a BA to first figure out what is the right problem. There can be multiple ways of doing that. There can be root cause analysis, 5 why technique. There can be fishbone. So again, we'll go through that in a while. But important, when I'm trying to discuss about design thinking as a mindset, we are going to focus on solving the right problem out of given problems that might exist. So let's say there are 5 problems. Problem 1, 2, problem 3, problem 4, followed by problem 5. Important for us to prioritize and then to observe that out of these 5 problems, which one is the right problem for me to solve in that given period of time. So that is going to be, one of a very important anecdote that I want to add before I start this particular session. So team, let's get started and, understand one of a real-time case study. So before I demonstrate you the case study, when I talk about the concept of design thinking, there are 5 steps involved. First is to emphasize, second is to define, third is to ideate, fourth is to prototype, and 5 is to test. So these are 5 stages involved whenever we try to implement the mindset that you call design thinking. Now, in today's session that we are having, I will show you practically, after you understand what a problem statement is, that you as a BA, how you going to, reach out to each of these problem like steps, stages one by one, how to emphasize, followed by how to define the given problem, as I've said, how to ideate, the prototype, and then to test. So all these 5 steps we'll try to understand from a practical standpoint. So as I was saying, that important that we all of us first understand the given problem statement for our context. So let's first go through one of our problem statement. So let's consider, that this problem statement is from an insurance company.
So, a mid-sized insurance company relied heavily on semi-manual operational process and outdated legacy CRM and ERP systems. Over time, these systems created inefficiencies across departments and negatively impacted both employees and customers. The organization faced growing pressure from competitors who had already adopted adopted faster digitally enabled service models. To remain competitive, improve internal efficiency, and enhance customer experiences, the company approached an IT organization to begin its digital transformation journey.
All of you, take a minute of time. Try to observe the background so that before I am moving forward, you already have understanding of the back. Because until unless you don't understand the problem statement, you'll not be able to, pretty much go through those 5 steps that I'm going to explain you now, the stages in design thinking. Now, the next step. We have, got some understanding of the background. Now, let us try to understand the problem statement.
Problem statement. During requirement gathering discussion, the insurance company highlighted a key business concern around customer referrals and growth through word of mouth. The company had recently observed that several of its top competitors were successfully leveraging referral programs to drive customer acquisition and engagement. Influenced by this trend, the company also introduced a similar referral initiative with the expectation of achieving comparable results. However, despite launching the program and offering incentives, the company has not been able to see the expected level of participation or outcomes. The referral program has not delivered the desired business impact, and the customer engagement through referrals remains significantly lower than anticipated. At this stage, the business stakeholders are uncertain about the underlying cause and are trying to understand whether the issue lies in the design of the referral program, whether the incentive or not attractive enough, or whether there are other factors influencing customer behavior. This has emerged as one of the key pain points communicated to the IT business analyst during initial discussions, with the expectation that the digital transformation initiative should help identify the root cause and improve the effectiveness of such business initiatives.
So far, the first background says that there is one of an insurance company. They are getting too much influenced with their competitors, and that's where they observe that this is high time for them to, not to stick any longer on complete manual or semi-manual process. Reach out to a vendor, and this vendor is going to help, as in vendor, the IT side is going to support this particular business with a digital transformation. Now, if you look at the problem statement, it says when you as a IT business analyst from again the vendor end, of course, while you are trying to interact with this insurance company, you get to observe that they are trying to launch. They tried, going for one of a, sort of a referral program. However, they are not happy with the desired business impact. As in the way they wanted this to, be successful, there are certain reasons of why they're not pretty much satisfied. Now, the problem statement here is that you as a ITBA have to figure out what went wrong with their referral program. And that is where we are trying to understand this with the concept of design thinking. Right. So, team, to solve this given problem statement, we are going to use design thinking as a mindset. So it says there are 5 stages or steps involved in design thinking, starting from empathize and it goes to test. So all these 5, let us try to understand how we as a BS can try to solve and then to reach to the conclusion for this given problem statement. So the very first step that you have is emphasize. All of you, please pay attention. Important. Look at this. So if you look at the step 1, it says empathize is about understanding user experience, challenge, emotion before defining the problem. Like for you to understand the problem as a business analyst, this is very important that you understand. Now, the question is, how will you understand the real problem? What is the source of the problem? The source of the problem is the user, the customer. So when this insurance company was trying to pretty much launch this referral program, they wanted this to be a big success because they got inspired with other competitive similar insurance company that exist. However, your job as a BA is to identify that what went wrong, why this referral model was not successful. So for you to empathize, when you say that understanding user experience, challenges and emotion, important that you try to go back to the source and then you try to understand this. And that is where you can observe, analyze customer reviews across platform, identify repeated complaints, all of that pretty much, pointers part of this. However, one of the most effective way for you as a BA to do stage 1, the step 1 is going to be, there is a concept of empathy mapping where we try to reach out to the user and we try to map certain metrics. Okay, I'll show you how does that work. Pretty simple, no rocket science when you do empathy mapping. This is one of a template. You call it the template for doing the empathy mapping. Now, what you're doing is you are trying to reach out to the customers. and you are trying to understand their experience. Now, important team. When I say you are trying to understand the experience, you as a BA is putting yourself in the shoe of that given user, and or rather you can call that as customer. Now, what are those metrics that you are trying to capture? You are trying to capture, from that user or customer that once they had a bad experience or maybe a good experience, whatever, I would call that as experience. What they think and feel about that product or that service, what they hear from others or what they hear themselves, followed by what they see around, what they say and do, and what are the pain and gain. So I'll show you how this works practically. What I'm saying right now is you are reaching out to a user, a customer, and trying to capture a few inputs in form of these metrics. That is think and feel, hear, see, say and do, pain and gain. So I already have created so that we're not wasting too much of our time on doing so. Pretty much, if I try to zoom this a little more, we'll first try to go through the think and feel. So we are trying to understand two metrics, four metrics first, that is think and feel. So the customer, how was their experience, right? So what they think, why my claim is taking so long. So let's say they are trying to, claim their reimbursement. And with that experience, when you try to interview them, they are pretty much trying to talk about the real time problems. Like, you might be thinking that, Dibanshu, you are talking about a referral, but how come we are discussing about the reimbursement process? So team, understand this. Let's say I conduct, some program, PIBA, right? And let's say I want to design a referral program. Pretty much, if my alumni are going through this PIBA, once they have gone through these metrics, only if they feel that this is one of a legit platform, if they feel that PIB is actually able to solve the real-time problems that help us with the real-time transition and all, only then it makes sense for them to refer. Is this making sense to what I'm trying to communicate? That is what we are actually trying to do. Instead, we are trying to go and question them that, hey, why you're not referring? We first try to ask their experience about that product or that given service. So that is exactly where now, if you go through the think and feel, you'll be able to relate better. So you tried understanding the think and feel. It says, the user said, why is my claim taking so long? Followed by, can I trust this insurance company? Because let's say this has already taken 2 weeks of time or more. So then the thought process is that, can I really trust this insurance company? That is one of your feeling, right? Pretty much what you hear. So what you hear from the customer experience, please wait, your claim is under process. Other insurance companies are faster. These are some of the things that they're hearing. Pretty much what they say and do, I'm not getting any update. Call support multiple time. They are trying to call them multiple time, but they're not pretty happy with the claim reimbursement pose and all that. What they see, they're observing complex claim submission process, no clear status update. So these are a couple of metrics that we have captured. Now, if I talk about the pain and gain, what are the pain of the customer or the user? Delayed reimbursement, lack of transparency. Why lack of transparency? Because when they actually wanted to go for that purchase, there might be a lot of hidden clause that was not communicated to them properly when they pretty much paid the premium, for the very first time. And what are the gain? Claim are processed eventually, support team is available for it. I mean, in case if that is working in their favor, because we are not saying that every claim that you are going through, pretty much all of that going to get rejected. It can take 3 weeks, it can take 4 weeks, it can take 2 months, but maybe they will try to reimburse, is what the problem statement is. So, team, my quick question to all of you: how many of you are able to understand this concept, that using the concept of empathy mapping on these given parameters, we as business analysts are trying to interview the customers or the user to understand these given metrics? So team, one of a key takeaway from this, empathy mapping is one of the best way for you to understand the real pain, the real experience of given customer or user. This is even important for your interview as well. I mean, if someone is trying to ask that, what are the metrics you try to capture when you try to interview a real-time customer? Maybe these can be a couple of metrics that you can try to capture. All right. So going back to from where we started. So team, the stage one for all of us is pretty sorted. That how are we going to empathize with the stage one? So pretty much all these pointers, I hope, is making sense to us. So let me quickly give it a read. It says, analyze customer reviews across platform, identify repeated complaint, interacted with the customer, and spoke with the internal team. So all of these are pretty sorted. Now, let's go to the step. Step 2 says define. Already said. Stage 2 is where our focus is going to be identifying what actually is the problem. Out of those set of problems that we might think that this is the real problem, we have to define what is the actual problem that we have to cater. So what is our observation? Customer facing delay in claiming process, lack of visibility during the process, repeated follow-up required, frustration and uncertainty. These are our observations as far as that given problem statement is concerned. Okay. So team, the question, what is the outcome of empathy mapping? The outcome of empathy mapping is we are able to identify what can be different problems that we are trying to trace from the source, that is nothing but the customer or user. So team will try to understand the real problem as well in a while. We'll try to do it in the next step. But as of now, my question, all of us are on same page in understanding that the outcome of the empathy mapping was we are able to define a set of problems, that what can be the possible problems as far as that given problem statement is concerned. All right. Let's go to the next step, next stage. This is very important, team. Team, there is a concept of brainstorming. The idea behind brainstorming is to generate as many ideas as possible. That is exactly what we try to achieve in the stage 3, to which we call ideate. So look at this. It says ideate is about generating multiple possible ideas to defined problem without jumping to final answer. So what I'm saying is that once we have identified the problem statement, now we are trying to observe that for us to solve the problem, what can be the possible ideas? So you are trying to think of those possible ideas, you as a IT side, right? So you're thinking that as far as the implementation of the software solution is concerned, what can be those possible ideas so that we can try to help the customer real time? It says real-time claim tracking for customer, automated claim status update through SMS, WhatsApp, simplified digital claim submission process, reduction in manual verification step, self-service portal for claim queries and update, and the last, dedicated claim support with faster response time. Now team, let me give you one of a task. As far as our problem is concerned, I want all of you to go through these possible ideas and tell me, let us try to rank the, put the serial number. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've given you 6 options. You also have the flexibility to think of any of your idea as well. You are pretty much clear with the problem statement. That is, customer is not happy with their reimbursement process. And then we are trying to look for, the options, that what are the possible ideas we have that we can try to implement. So I will give you 1 minute of time. My question to all of you, it can be the combination of ideas. It can be one idea from the list that I'm showing from 1 to 6. It can be any idea that you can give to this particular insurance company, that if you are able to implement this, I assure you that your customer will definitely be happy with the experience they have. I'm also looking for ideas from your end team. I mean, whatever you are mentioning in terms of pointers are making sense. Do you also have any idea from your side that we can pretty much give to the insurance company as ITBA? Think about it. So apart from these given option, let's say we are also going ahead with one more idea. And the idea is very wide. You are recommending this to this insurance company that if you really have to stand out with rest of your competitors, let us try to go for this given option. That is same day claim reimbursement within 24 hours. Team, my question, all of you agree that if any insurance company in the world is able to do this, and if they're trying to market their platform saying within 24 hours, we're going to claim your reimbursement, do you agree that it can be a pretty much giving a happy service to their customers? In case, I'm not saying whether companies are doing it or not. If this is possible or not, that is subjective to n number of factors. But the concept of design thinking is before we are claiming yes or no, we are trying to test in the best possible way. That actually is what I'm trying to tell is design thinking as a mindset. Okay. Stage 3rd was we are trying to identify all possible ideas. And then we thought, okay, I think this is worth giving a try, right? So what we are trying to do is we tried out of all these possible idea, we as a team is now trying to observe that whether this is one of a practical solution or not. So what is stage third team? It is generating multiple options. Now let's go through the next step that we have. The next step is, so for us to communicate, for us to pretty much come up with a conclusion whether that is practically possible or not, you as a business analyst will first need to understand their as is, that what actually they are following in terms of their current process when it comes to their reimbursement. Then they try to define the to be, that if we have to get it done within 24 hours, what can be the possible way of us doing that. So pretty much if you go through the as is to be, I'll just quickly take you through that. So if you look at the as is, the current process of this given insurance claim, like this company and the insurance claim as a process concern, there are multiple departments involved: customer, customer support team, claim processing team, underwriting approval team, finance or payment team, and there are certain system of documents, supporting documents or system for them to claim. So if you pretty much go through the as is, pretty much same that we all of us customers are going through. You're going to initiate claim, collect and fill claim form, submit claim form with documents, because we know that this particular insurance company was semi-automated or they were completely manual. Now all those steps, receive claim request, verify basic detail, all of those pretty much steps. So one of your observation would be that this as is created as per the BPMN standard, business process modeling notation. So team, I'll not try to throw a lot of light on how to create as is, to be, and all, what is gap analysis and all of those, because that is not the the agenda for today's discussion. What I'm trying to ask all of you is that, is it possible for you as a IT business analyst to understand different departments involved, understand different processes, and you as a ITBA try to define their as is in form of a process model? Is it doable, all of us? Okay. So if this is doable, you as a business analyst have mapped this as is. And once you have mapped, now you'll start thinking that how we can try to turn all this process within 24 hours, right? And then you came up with one of a to be. Again, team, we are not trying to say that whether this is practically feasible, yes, no, and all. All I am trying to give you understanding that what the design thinking is, that when you try to pretty much, recommend this, or you try to put this in front of stakeholders that, hey, can we try to go for this 24-hour claim reimbursement? What is the process that you as a business analyst is going to follow using the concept of design thinking? So that is where, if you go through all of these steps in the system, process remains the same. And then you are recommending certain processes in certain way, because 99% of this is going to be automated with the software solution that you're recommending. And then pretty much it depends on whether the stakeholders are in sync with you or not. Are they ready to provide that in 24 hours, even if they're, processing of their finance payment team and all of that is concerned. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, is it possible for you as a business analyst to recommend certain improvisations in form of to be, in form of the process model? I'm not saying whether the stakeholder is going to be 100% agreeing to it or not. What I'm trying to tell you is that when you are recommending this improvisation, what is your mindset as a business analyst? Because you're not going to go back and going to communicate that to them verbally, that, hey, this is how things needs to be changed or things needs to be oriented. Rather, you create a process model for that, create a to be, and then you try to showcase that this is how the process is going to work as far as 24 hours of reimbursement process is concerned. Now, when you are going to showcase the to be to your stakeholders, couple of them might be very confused that as far as this process model is concerned, we are pretty clear with the process that we have to follow and all. But we also want to observe how does these features look at in the real time. And that is where, most important, you are not just putting focus on the process model as far as this step is concerned. So if you observe, what is the name of this given stage? You call it prototype. So the reason you as a BA started with understanding as is to be, so that you and your stakeholders on same page as far as those processes are concerned. Now, this is very, very important. Rather, I would say mandatory for you as a BA to come up with the design flow or to create mock-up wireframe or prototype. So that is where whatever which is more like an idea that you tried representing, showing in form of as is, to be and all. Now is the time for you to create it in form of a prototype so that they can really try to test. They can try to have a discussion in internal departments and all, and then they are able to conclude on this given problem. Now the question is, how are we going to proceed ahead with the prototypes? Look at this. For me to create pretty much real-time prototype, there can be multiple platforms that you can use. You can use Lovable for that. You can use Visually for that. Multiple. However, what I'm going to show you now is it will hardly take less than 5 minutes of time for you to actually create this prototype leveraging AI to the fullest. So the beauty is pretty much, if you go through the prompt, whenever you are expected to use, different specialized AI tool and all, the secret sauce always is the prompt. Whether your prompt is up to the mark or not. And team, I will recommend that I will not be focusing too much on prompt engineering for today, but dedicatedly created, this one. So if you go through master prompting for business analyst, close to 30 minutes of video, and what I'm going to explain you now, like the prompt that I'll show you, and I'll show you the real-time demonstration that how you can try to use these prompts to create real-time, prototypes, wireframes, mockups, whatever. So for you to understand that fully, you can go through this particular, topic that I have. So maybe if you want, you can subscribe so that you are updated and you can look into it later upon in time. So team, what we are trying to do now is whatever that we are trying to discuss verbally, we want to give them a visual understanding. So what we are doing is, I'll just quickly use two tools. One is going to be the Visually and one is going to be Lovable. So pretty much I'll just take some time. Let's first try to, copy this prompt in this Visually AI. And by the time it is generating, we'll just try to go through the prompt that we're using for this.
Prompt purpose. Design a simple, fast, and user-friendly claim submission experience for an insurance application. Role. You are a senior UX and UI designer specializing in fintech and insurance application focused on creating minimal, intuitive, and high-trust user interface. Objective. Create a claim submission screen that allow a customer to submit an insurance claim quickly with a minimal effort, reducing complexity and improving overall user experience. Mode. Mobile first UI design, modern app interface, clean layout, minimal steps focused on simplicity and speed. Parameters. Header. Title submit claim, back arrow on the top left, customer information, autofill, name, John Dew, policy number POL L12 non-editable, policy type, health insurance, claim detail, minimal input, claim type, drop down, hospitalization, reimbursement, hospital name, text, claim amount, numeric field, date of treatment, date picker, document upload, upload bill, required, upload reports, optional, simple, upload button with icon. CTA, call to action, primary button, submit claim. Additional UX element, display message, estimated processing within 24 hours. Design guideline, minimal and clear interface, soft blue or green color, rounded input field.
Okay, so team, my question to all of you agree that this prompt that we have given, this is giving enough clarity for any specialized AI tool to understand what is the output that you're expecting. But team, look at the beauty. If you're going to use this detailed prompt, why do I recommend to follow such prompts, right? And pretty much this structure, you will, anyways, get to see in this video. I've already said prompt engineering for business analysts. Anyways, now let's try to look at the outcome of this. This hardly took less than 5 minutes for us. My question, is this doable for you as a ITBA? What you shown them or what you discussed with the stakeholder pretty much verbally. Now you are trying to turn that as a visual and trying to showcase that to the stakeholders, that you can observe that these are those. I'm just not saying that this is just one given feature you're just going to showcase. I'm saying that you're going to take a lot of time. Let's say you have created all of that claim reimbursement process, spending, let's say 30 screens and all those. And then instead you are just doing the verbal sort of conversation. You are trying to show them visually in terms of real-time application. Is this doable from you as a business analyst? There is also like one of a tool, Lovable. I'll just like we have already created using the very same prompt that I've used. My quick question to all of you, is this good enough for you to have a discussion with your stakeholder if this is what they are looking for or not. This hardly took less than 5 minutes. All right. So, team, we started with design thinking, where I said that design thinking is the approach of solving the right problem by understanding people before building solution. Was I able to justify you all 5 steps practically? And are you clear with the mindset that how we can try to use design thinking as a mindset to solve problem? So team, I hope the session was insightful, helpful for all of you. I will keep on coming with more such sessions in the near future. And I will also request all of you that whichever topic you want me to come up with, sessions, you can try to add your suggestions in the comment section that the bunch you can try to conduct more sessions on these so and so topics. You can try to comment on my YouTube channel on whatever expectations you have. And I will always be committed to serve all of you in the best possible way as far as the BA community is concerned, to keep you updated with what is happening with AI in business analysis and all that. So thank you so very much, team. Thank you for having me.